Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Star Report. This is Jason, and this week is Wednesday, 420, and we have a Star Report for you. Today is the beginning of the week for us here at the shop, and we are coming off a couple of days of intensity. We had over the last weekend, we had the full moon, and we had Easter in the 3 days. And so that should have been pretty enlightening. You should feel on the downward swing of all that intensity of the energy. But the sun won't let us settle down. If you're watching a whole lot of channels about space weather, you might notice that the sun has continued to flare, meaning it's had M-class and X-class solar flares and mass coronal ejections. Those or CME's coronal mass ejections, whichever. Those have been going, but they haven't been Earth faced. So they would have not been as intense as in the heart palpitations and the brain fog, but they will be messing with your sleep. So you might be coming into this Wednesday a little bit sleepless. The sun is still flaring. It flared, I think, 4 times yesterday or over into the evening time of yesterday. That would have been Tuesday. And so Wednesday, we're still in the Venus, Mercury, Uranus energy, which that should just make you feel like you are worth your salt, that you're all of your work that you've been doing is creating something. And so this week we're going to move into some more intense energy. The sun's going to continue to flare. If you're watching space weather news, then you're going to see that there are very large sunspots which are magnetically active, which have the possibility of erupting, and the possibility is always more intense because the Earth's magnetic protection is lower. So those cosmic rays are more likely to get through. So pay attention to that sort of flaring. It shouldn't be much more intense unless you're in the northern latitudes that you'll start to see the solar storms seek further down south. Aurora borealis kind of stuff, northern lights. This week, starting tomorrow, Thursday, my favorite time of the year, I am a Taurus, and so the sun moves into Taurus tomorrow, and that Taurian energy is very powerful energy, right? So all this stuff that you've been working on creating, this is really sort of decision point time. Pick a direction, right? Because when you get the energy of the bull, what you do is you start to set your keel of your ship into a certain direction, and then the bull usually can't be deterred, right? So when you've made all these decisions, when you've released all this stuff, when the sun, the moon, and all this stuff has charged your electric body, you have this power to start to move in a direction. And so I believe it's going to be the sun, the moon, Uranus, and Mercury are all going to be in the sign. So they that's more than 3. That's going to be a stellium. So the Taurian energy is going to be really powerful. And then that sort of also leads into the weekend, beginning, I think, around Friday-ish. The Lyrid meteor shower starts to become its heaviest. So you can look up and look at the Lyrids. So we have the resurrection, the choice point of today, yesterday, tomorrow with Taurus. And then that energy sort of moves into, now that we start going, there starts to be all this cosmic charging of our path, right? And so you could look at it in this way. If you've been sort of huddled up, if you've sort of been cocooned up, trying to recreate or become a chrysalis, a beautiful butterfly. If you're looking around now, you'll see tons of caterpillars. If you're trying to become that butterfly, you might have been cocooned up hoping that nothing gets you, right? Shielding yourself from the sun, not paying attention to the moon, the full moon, the resurrection energy, and just sort of like, when it's all over, I'll come back out of my shell and move. I think the important thing that you should pay attention to is that these cosmic energies, this galactic energy that's coming through, we actually want to get hit by it, right? It's not going to destroy us. If you're into sort of like superhero stuff, what you're really doing is when those things hit you, when those rays hit you, it gives you electric potential, meaning spiritual potential, meaning decision point potential, that they can be more effective. So when you're you're starting to pick up your gallop and choose a direction with this Taurus energy, and become bullheaded and undeterred in your path. What you really want to do is you want to absorb these solar flares. You want to almost invite the hitting of the energy of these Lyrid meteor showers, right? They're little meteors. They're not going to come crash into the earth, so don't worry about that. But they'll start to light up the sky, right? And so every time they're hitting the atmosphere, they're charging, or they have the potential to charge you to move in a certain direction, right? So we want to start that gallop as the bull is moving towards its target, right? And so we want to make sure that this week, after all the clearing, after all the activations of Easter week and the moon and just the shifts in the planet and the sun sort of giving you that energy, that we want to pick a target and start to pick up momentum towards that target. Towards the end of the week, I believe we are going to begin there's what they call a pre-shadow of Mercury retrograde, right? So there's usually about a week and a half, 2-week period where the planet begins to slow down before it reverses and goes retrograde. And so that Mercury retrograde is always another inward focus stuff. But this is really, instead of an inward focus or going backwards, this Mercury retrograde is really about finding your deepest reserves, right? What have you had at the core of you this entire time, right? What have you been sweeping away over these several months or these couple of months of this Pluto return, of this revolution of yourself? And so what you're looking for this Mercury retrograde, that at the big, probably around next Tuesday-ish, you'll start to be in that shadow. What you want to start looking at is, who is this person at the core of you and how powerful is that? And so instead of running into old relationships or thinking about things that you coulda, woulda, shoulda, this Mercury is really about what's left over and what can you sort of find and take with you into this next momentum moving thing, right? So if we're a galloping Taurus or a galloping bull towards our target, this is really, what are we going to keep in our saddlebags to move into that new energy, to sort of go into that arc of our own resurrection, our own chrysalis, our own coming out of this cocoon. Now, if you were in a cocoon, that's totally okay to be in a cocoon. That's what happens. Maybe your growth is happening in private and in solitude, and that's totally way to go. But this Taurus energy isn't going to allow you to sort of stay in that shell. And so you should pay attention that you're going to have this urge to let people know, or to start to act out loud in the direction that you've chosen, right? And so whether that's a new job, whether that's a new place to live, or whether that's just a new perspective and a reinvigoration, right? You might be feeling tired for the next day and a half, but definitely tomorrow you'll have that energy to sort of pick up, and that'll carry you through the week until we meet again next week. So it's a pretty standard star report this week that you can sort of look at, get the basics and continue on your way. But just sort of notice that over the next day and a half or so, your calmness, your deep breath is going to give you the energy to start to gallop, to start to move, to start to act instead of react, or to avoid the contact with this cosmos, with this energy that's been coming in. So I hope you enjoy that week, this week, the star report, and that you invite the Taurus energy in to push you to new levels. Till next time, many blessings.